Hi guys, welcome back to our YouTube channel, AlgoWise. So this video will be a continuation of the earlier video, last video, which we discussed about the bond markets, its relation with the currency markets. So we have Pratik. He would continue his discussion from where he stopped in the last video. Also, I have shared the links of the previous video and all the other videos of the series in this particular video. You can always go and check out. Welcome, Pratik. Yeah, it's muted. Yeah, now
Hi,
it's
Kalyan.
live. Hi. So
Hi.
we'll continue
So,
from the same point where we stopped.
sure. So, Kalyan, we wanted to discuss about Japan specifically, right?
Yeah, correct.
Japan is a very developed country, and in fact, if you look at the demographic, it may be falling, but they have a very good controlled inflation. They have a very good grip on the government. People are very polite over there, and there are a lot of good things about Japan. So whenever you
Correct.
think about Japan, what do you think? You think about the bullet trains, you think about the polite people, you think about the great infrastructure development that has happened in Japan. So you think about all of that, right?
Yeah.
Now, in between all of these, there are a lot of different things that you probably don't know about Japan, or you may know about it, but we are going to discuss further about those kind of points over here,
Okay.
right? So one thing that you might have heard about is the Japanese real estate crisis that happened in 1990s. So there was a huge boom that happened in 1980s and even before that. So everybody seemed to be investing in Japan, and everybody was gung ho on the real estate market over there. But in
Mhm.
1990s, the market started crashing, mainly because of demography and affordability crisis. People did not have that much of income to buy real estate. At the same time, the demography, or the number of people who wanted to buy, also started decreasing because they did not I mean, generally they had one child, and the population had some sort of a shrinkage that kind of started, and there were other financial factors because of which it led to some sort of crisis in the real estate market, basically.
Mhm.
So at that point of time, Japan economy went into recession, and from that point onwards, Bank of Japan, which is the central bank of the Japan, is trying to stimulate inflation in Japan. So how weird is this? At this point of time, we are talking about high inflation everywhere. But from 1990 onwards, the Japanese bank is trying to get inflation. They're saying, okay, we want to inflate, come spend. I am giving you money, come and spend. But nobody is spending
Hmm.
because of the real estate crisis that happened. After that, the economy went into contraction, and Japanese are generally known to be good savers. Basically, they are not known to be good
Yeah,
spenders,
that's
right?
correct. Yeah, they save a lot of money, whatever they earn. Like in US during 2008 recession, if you remember, a lot of surveys were being done. So out of 100 rupees, they spend 96 and save only rupees 4. So 4 rupees. So they didn't even have money for the next month's EMI. So that's how good US spenders are. And then you, on the contrary, you have the Japanese spenders. I don't know the numbers, but it's they save a lot.
Yeah. Generally, it is known that they are good savers, and at the same time, the demography had a crisis because people were getting old. So obviously, old people spend lesser than younger people. The number of young people were coming down in the country because of all those things. The spending was not happening, and the Japanese bank, or Bank of Japan, was always doing something called as quantitative easing. Quantitative easing technically means that you are going and buying government bonds. So government is issuing the bonds. We discussed about the bond
Mm.
market generally, right,
Yeah.
earlier.
Mhm.
So government is going and issuing bonds that comes into the secondary market, and in secondary market, the central bank is going and purchasing all those bonds by issuing
Oh.
new currency. So they are creating currency. After creating currency, they are investing that currency in the bond market,
Bond
or they are
market.
basically
Oh.
buying government bonds. So effectively, what is happening is the central bank is increasing its balance sheet size. So if
Mm-hmm.
anybody knows about the balance sheet and finance a little bit, what is happening is that on the asset side, they are getting more and more number of government bonds. They are
Mm.
purchasing government bonds. On the
Mm.
liability side, they are keeping currencies, like they are issuing new currency, right? So that
Mm.
currency is something that is coming on the liability side of the central bank.
Okay.
So the
Okay.
balance sheet side is continuously increasing. That was happening all the time. Like after 2009 crisis, it became even more prominent. They
Okay.
basically started doing that, and they could not even stop. They until 2016 they were basically doing the bond purchases all the time, and they were making substantial bond purchases. And to continue this kind of bond purchases, it was becoming little difficult because the balance sheet size was continuously increasing. Even then, the inflation was not coming. Okay, the inflation was still low. So in 2016, what they introduced is something called as yield curve control.
Okay.
Now, what is yield curve control? I'll explain in very, very simplistic term, and I'll just explain in terms of what Japan did. Japan, what they said is, I will ensure that 10-year bond yields, 10-year bond yields basically means that government bonds which are having a maturity of 10 years, right?
Correct.
The
Mm.
yield of those bonds. I will ensure that yield of those bonds stays between 0 to 0.25%. Okay.
Oh,
So
okay.
if it is going above 0.25%, they will come and buy infinite amount of government bonds to ensure
Mm-hmm.
that the yield again goes down.
Okay.
So if the prices go up, the yield goes down, right? That's
Mm.
how the bond
Yeah,
market
yeah,
works.
yeah. Mm.
So basically, if somebody is a big buyer, they will increase the prices.
Increase.
Obviously, they will
Correct,
decrease the
correct. Yes, yes. So the central
yes,
bank is a big buyer, so they can do that.
yes, exactly. So they said that we will implement this yield curve control policy based on which the government bond yields will stay between 0 to 0.25%. And they are still continuing that. At this point of time, Japan has inflation. After 2016 and all, they started getting some amount of inflation. But right now, the inflation has increased quite substantially, just similar to what is happening over the globe, right? So if you
Okay.
look at Japan inflation rate, right? You can see that inflation has gone up. It has gone up
Okay.
to like around 2 to 3% basically. Obviously lower than other countries, but still it
Yeah.
has gone up. But again, if you think about the yield curve control, it is maintained at 0.0 to 0.25%, which is much lower than what is the inflation rate. Because of which, what is happening is that the bond prices of Japan is continuously going down. What I am showing you is the USD
Yeah, USD
JPY
and yen. Yeah, curve. Okay.
USD and JPY curve basically,
Mm.
which means if you look at 2022, look at what happened from 115 level, it has come up to 138 level basically,
Mhm.
and it's continuously going. If I want to look at the history of USD JPY for a very, very long time, you can see that uh, say it had gone up to something around 150 level.
Mm.
It had come down in 2012. You can see that it has come down to 77 level, which means that JPY had strengthened. This is
Correct,
USD
correct.
versus JPY.
JPY. Yes.
And
Mm.
now JPY is weakening quite a lot.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
correct.
weakening substantially. So if I just show you another chart which shows JPY uh, as the currency instead of USD as the currency, just the inverse of the older chart, you can see
Okay.
how substantially it is weakening.
Hmm.
So if you look
Okay.
at this on a weekly chart, you can see that from 21, when it was something around 0.98, it has come to 0.72. So it is
Hmm.
weakening substantially, right? You can see that it's falling massively. And this is basically because the central bank is not ready to raise rates. I mean, when you implement yield curve control, what happens is that your yields or government 10-year yields are basically staying substantially down.
Hmm.
That means the ultimate rates in the market will also stay substantially down. The bond markets will actually influence other markets.
Hmm.
So because the rates are staying substantially low and the rates in US are increasing, so everybody wants to take their JPY and move out of Japan
Correct,
and
correct,
go to
correct.
USD
So it's not
or to
attractive
other
enough to
countries.
come and invest in this currency, basically Japanese yen, because
Exactly,
yeah.
exactly.
Hmm. Okay. So since
So
2021, this is it's in a continuous downward curve, right? So 21 December, is it? So
yes, even if you like take a look at beginning of 21, from that
hmm.
time it started weakening.
Oh, beginning of
And
21. Okay, okay. Hmm.
beginning of 22, you can see that it has weakened substantially. I mean,
Yeah,
if
yeah,
you
correct.
take a look at the 5-year history, it has
Yeah,
broken the 5-year lows.
correct, correct, correct. And yeah, so mid of 2022 or maybe April or sometime it has started complete free fall. So it's kind of a free fall.
Yes,
Okay. So
yes.
last
It
12
has
months
broken
have.
the 2002 low now.
Ha ha ha. Okay. So it has broken the okay year 2002's low also it has broken that.
Yes, yes.
Hmm.
So this is becoming a substantial problem. Now Japan will have to do something. They will have to release the yield curve control. If they do that, probably their currency will be stabilizing a little, but at the same time there will be a lot of chaos in the market because everybody looks at the forward guidance from the market or from the central bank. Japanese central bank has given forward guidance that they will maintain yield curve control. Now they will no longer remain credible. They will say that okay, Japanese central bank is no longer credible. So because of that, they are not able to release the yield curve control immediately. They will probably have to take some sort of transitory process based on which they will release the yield curve control. If that doesn't happen, uh, there will be substantial problems for Japan because whenever the currency goes into a tailspin, what happens is that your import prices go up substantially.
Correct.
And Japan is also a major importer of different things, which means that their inflation rate can basically spiral out of control. It can be
Hmm.
really out of control. It can go to 10%, 20%, 30%, anything. It can
Hmm.
become something like an emerging market crisis, just like Venezuela or Sri
Hmm.
Lanka, right?
Hmm.
Those kind of crisis basically happens because your currency goes into tailspin. You are not able to import things that you need. And
Correct.
because of that, the currencies are again becoming substantially worse.
Hmm. Correct. But again, that will depend on the maybe the volume or maybe the amount of things they are importing. So typically, Japan imports more than what it exports, right?
Yes, yes, exactly.
Mm.
So most of these countries will have a deficit basically on
Deficit.
the
Ha, ha,
import
ha.
to
Correct.
export side.
Yes. Okay.
So if you just take a look at the Google search that I'm doing,
Mm.
Japan's main imports include fuels, machinery, and food.
Food.
Right,
Okay.
food is one of the major component.
And China is one of the primary suppliers, basically.
Yes, yes, correct.
Mm. Okay. Yeah, if you're uh, if the imports are high and your currency is weak against the dollar, so that will again forever it will go into deficit. So that will be really bad for the country
Yes, yes, exactly. So you can see that imports are generally going up. It's going up all the time.
all the
If you just
time.
take a look at the 5-year trend also, it's going up substantially from
Mm.
2020,
Mm.
2021 time.
Correct, correct, correct. Yeah.
Okay, so I hope this was helpful to understand what is sort of happening
Yeah,
in
yeah. This
Japan.
was
Right?
yeah pretty nice. Explained in detail. So okay, fine. I think so. We'll keep this video to this point only for today, and
Okay.
let's come up with another topic. So we already have the topic that is the current market scenario that I think we have not covered since more than a month. So what is the scenario in the Indian markets as well as US stock markets? So presently,
Yeah,
so that we can that can be the next video.
sure, sure, Kalyan.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Pratik, for joining. Yeah. See
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.